and I will minimize you at the side of my screen.
Are you happy to start, Jean?
Right, I'm happy to start.
Off you go then. Thank you.
Right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Supermarket Philately for the fourth and last time. Now, I'm going to first of all go back over just to remind you what you saw in some of the previous displays. Now, this shows you all the possible supermarkets, and we've had products from all of these supermarkets in the philatelic stamp album. Now, the display, basically Supermarket Philately, was introduced. It happened purely by accident in 1971 when I saw an advert and bought a can of Heinz soup. And this showed that you could get stamps, Christmas stamps, and for section 1 is the promotions where companies, not Royal Mail, gave away philatelic items as the attraction. And we will see some of them in a minute. Now, the next one was Royal Mail thought, this is a good idea. Why don't we do this? So when they wanted to increase their sales of stamp booklets, they started advertising them and giving away odd giveaways. And they were so popular that this continued. And then Royal Mail decided and was requested to produce items specially for certain companies, which they did. Now that is extended between section 3, which you have seen, and today's section, where we feel, or I feel, Royal Mail has actually become a supermarket selling products in supermarket style. Now this is a little brief resume, and this was part 1, where you saw Boots, no, not Boots, Nescafe gave away postal orders, Heinz gave away stamps, and Woman's Realm gave away a free letter sheet. And Chocolate Fingers, Cadbury's, gave away the booklet. Now, the next series, we went on to Royal Mail, gave away postcards, they gave away the birthday box, and they gave away the cassette. And these are postcards from the National Gallery. These were all on offers against sending Royal Mail stamps in. And part 3, you could get by sending in stamps, 2 or 3 stamps. You got chocolates, you got cake, you got photographs, and you could get Benji Bear and Harry Hedgehog. Now, if you had followed the last 3 displays, we're ready for part 4. And this time, we're going for B&Q gift vouchers, Sainsbury's Santa, format packs, and Boots birthday cards. Now we're starting with Boots birthday cards. And these, first of all, came out in 1994. There was an advert, and here's the advert for it. For Boots, it showed you the possibility when you bought a birthday card, you got a little miniature sheet in the corner of the pack with a stamp in it that you could then send we had the envelope with the card and you could stamp it and you didn't need to fiddle around trying to find stamps. And these were sold at £1.10 each. And these are the little miniature sheets you could buy. And you could actually buy them from the Philatelic Bureau, but these were the ones that were put at the top of the postcards. Now, there was various series of postcards. There was to start with male, female, and cute. Male coded M1 to 30, female coded F1 to 30, and cute C1 to 30. The males had the blue envelope, female had the pink envelope, and the cute had the yellow envelope. And this is one with the first day cover. Although I was in the Stamp Advisory Committee at the time, I didn't know when this was going to be issued. And we knew they were going to be issued. We knew you could only get the cards, the birthday cards from Boots. And it was a matter of going into Boots for several days, for a couple of weeks beforehand, until we actually got the date right. And when we got the date right, Crawford took the day off work and we scooted around to find the boots that actually had cards for sale. And I think we went down to Crawley. That was from Purley. And this is one of them. It cost £1.10. Stamp, the envelope and the card. And you can see at the bottom the code here, which is C04. And this is of the first series. Now going on from that, you could buy the panes of the stamp from the Philatelic Bureau, and in a block of 100, they were built up and they were sold in blocks of 100, and you got a little pack like this, and this was the Questa, the way they were packaged for sale. And Questa printed them with all the details of the stamps on them, the miniature sheets, and there you can see, on the back of the label, you can see the printing and the way the perforations went, two sort of sausage type perforations in the back. Now, after the first issue, there was a second issue, and the second issue for specialists was slightly different in size from the first issue. Packaging was slightly different. It didn't say Questa, and there was a top label, and then there was a leaf in below, and there you see the actual, they're just slightly different in size from the other ones. And here we see the copyright changed later on, and instead of the copyright changed from the actual miniature sheet. It's the miniature sheet here, and they decided to take it off so that they could use it for other things. And I don't quite know if you can see it at the top. See. Now, some of the cards. This is a very good card for anything thematic. You can see the range of collections it would fit into. And that's not mentioning flowers. I don't think that there's daffodils there for Barry, but flowers and many other things that I haven't even mentioned. So this is a really good one for anything. All the cards are acceptable for collecting if they're sort of in their pack and in mint condition. And this one is one, if you've got a collection of golf, this would easily fit into a golf collection. And there you have it as a first day with the golf stamp. Now this just shows you the range, and this is all the male ones: boats, cricket, beer, and we have one more, yes, distinguished. And that's 4 of the ones that are all coded M in the male series. And it just shows you the range. You also get other things within the cards that if you're a thematic collector, there's great potential here. You've got beer in this one, that's the main one, but you've also various animals on the side. Oh, excuse me. Oh, and that was the humor. Oh. That's just another 2 cars. If anyone collects cars, that's 2 of the cars in the series. Now you got the pink envelope, and as you see, and I've seen before, we have a cat. And for various reasons, every time I bought cards, I seem to buy cats. I don't know why. It's just one of these things. And this is all from the female section, Fs, and they're all F. I think I knew I was going to send cards. My daughter was at school, and she was in school in Croydon, and I used to go in and collect her every day. And when I went in, I often went early shopping and shopped in Boots. And I couldn't go around Boots without buying some of these. Every time I saw them, I thought, oh, isn't that nice? That would do nicely in my collection. And I just kept buying them. So I have quite a lot of these. This is another of the F series. Now, I looked at this recently, and here you have it here. I tried to how they could have mounted it so that the cottage was upright and the Queen's head was upright, rather than the Queen's head being in it upside down. Or if the Queen's head's the right way up, cottage is upside down. And it was more a matter of they would need to switch the back and the front of the card to get it in a position that you could have the Queen's head upright. It was just logistics, and it was just one of these things I thought interesting looking at it and seeing could have mounted it up better on the packet. Cute series. This is one or two of the cute series. And you see nice little cuddly little animals. And here we have them here. This gives you the coding on them. The three of the now over 30. After the first, I think they were so successful, then they started extending the series. And we also later on get a different series, and I think this is one of much later, CC06. So this must be, again, it's a cute series, and it's a double cute series. You have your humorous, and this is one of the humorous. I thought these are quite nice for you to look at. How did you forget my birthday when you've had a year to remember it? I think that's quite nice. One of us has to make the decisions, and I've decided it's me. So that's another. There's quite a lot in this series, and gradually I've been picking them up one at a time. It just shows the range of cards, get well cards with teddy bears on them. And good luck cards. And again, a pussycat, you could have a cat series, and that's another one. Christening. And that's a christening card. There we are. Communion. And there's one to my wife and our anniversary. Now, this one was to my wife with my love Christmas. I had never, ever, until this one, got a Christmas card from Crawford for Christmas. And I wouldn't expect one, but to actually get one on Christmas Day, and not only the card, it was unopened with the pain in it and also the receipt. So I really appreciated that. And that really actually made that Christmas because it was such a surprise. And this one I got from my daughter, or our daughter, and she gave me a Mother's Day card on Sunday, and I said, oh, no, if you ever forget, I've got one from you that I've never opened yet. So you can see how long it was. That was 1998, and it's still sealed. And the next thing is, many of you might not realise, but the Boots labels were not only for the Boots cards, because they were extended for Christmas gift tokens from Woolworths and all the companies that went with Woolworths. And you got Christmas gift tokens with £10 voucher in them. And if you did, you also got the stamp to go with it. And here's one of them. You got a B&Q, Comet, MVC, Superdrug and Woolworths. And you bought the Christmas card. You could never, if you actually asked in Woolworths, they always said, oh, wait a minute, and they'd always go upstairs and get it. And I didn't realise that at the time, that there was 2 designs every year. And the fact I got one card, I was all delighted with. And this is the receipt for the card. Altogether, there was 2 every year from, I think it was 1998, 99 and 2000. And there you are. That was the other card with Santa Claus coming down the chimney. And you had the voucher. These are sitting unopened, which is rather hard to actually display at times. And that's got the voucher because of the size. The next year they continued this, and they had 2 more designs. This is the snowman. Oh, the Christmas snowman and the Christmas trees and stars. And I had the Christmas trees, the Christmas trees and stars. I've had that right since before that Christmas. And I didn't have the snowman. Because as I said, I didn't know there was 2 designs every year. So I've had to scout around and try and get the extra one. And this came up on eBay. It didn't come up with its £10 voucher. I never minded that. But it did come up in its envelope with the stamp. And I was able to open it as such. And inside, this is the inside. This is the only one I've ever seen the inside, which says Merry Christmas. Now, if you have a look at this, you can see that the actual printing is printed on the cellophane wrapper, the £10 gift voucher and first class stamp, and it just lies over the actual miniature sheet, which has no writing on it. There's the next year, we have another 2. We have this picture, and we have 2 snowmen. Here we go to the 2 snowmen. That's one of the snowmen. Again, this shows you where the voucher is. It's down, you can see it. You can see the number of the voucher here. And the voucher is still there. To me, to pay a really good philatelic item was a gift. Now here, I'm showing the same one again, but this I managed to get. And this is a specimen. And instead of the actual voucher, it's a specimen printed on it, and that was a sample. Now from there we go to other ways of producing and encouraging people to buy booklets. And one of the ways, what they gave news agents, and I forget, it was a group of news agents, these sort of dummy packs were sent out, and you could put these dummy cards on. And if people wanted to buy, you could take the dummy card, which you could pick up anywhere in the shop, and take it to the counter, and they would give you the booklet. These are quite, whoever made them up forgot that that was an I instead of a 1. But never mind. I don't mind that in the slightest. But you could get the first class booklet or the second class booklet.
Oh, it has the
Following
serifs.
on from that, the National Trust did the same thing, and they had packs. Now, I think this is one of the rarest, forget the sample bit about it, the actual pack, I think is one of the rarest. There's 2 of them, and you'll see the other one in a minute. And this is, again, you picked it up somewhere in the stand and took it to the checkout. And at the checkout, they exchanged it for the real booklet, or they might have exchanged it just before stamps. That's the 2 packs. I think it's just personal feeling. I didn't know they existed for a long time, and then I eventually got them. And I think these are some of the rarest booklet items or packs that exist. Now we'll go on to Marks and Spencer. And at Marks and Spencer, they did the same sort of thing. And here's the sold booklets. And here you get, in fact, on this one, this didn't on the cover have a line across them. And on this one, they did have a line across them. No, they both have, sorry, they have 2 lines across them. The next one, here they go with actually without lines. And that's the front cover. It's the second issue. There's no white lines across the stamps. These packs weren't on sale for long, and all of a sudden they disappeared. But this is one of the other things Marks and Spencer did. They sold cards, and they sold cards in the strangest way. They sold a card here, and you got the details of the cost of the card and everything about the card at the top. You got the card, and this is on one cellophane strip subdivided. Then you had the card, and then you had the envelope. Now, I don't know how long this was in sale. It wasn't in sale for long. I just managed to get a set of them, and the next thing I knew, they had gone. So I don't think they kept them going for long. And that shows you the card, And this is the female. There was a male, female, and children's card. There was 3. That's the back of the card. And this is the child's saying happy birthday. And that was the envelope that went with it. Now this is I've still got mine in a strip of 3. It was a matter of scanning it in bits and pieces. So although I've got the bit separated out here, it is still all in one. Oh, and the same with this. This is another child's one, and it was happy birthday. And then the 4th one was a beer one. And again, that's the only ones I've ever seen. If anyone knows of any of the others, I'd be very interested if they did any other designs. When I went to Marks and Spencer, it was the only lot, one set on the stand, and I got all 4. And I haven't seen any others. I haven't seen anyone with any others. And I think they were all actually, people took them off and used them. The other thing we have is Sainsbury's store. And they had 2 specially designed prepaid first-class padded envelopes, and they were produced for CDs and DVDs. And this is one showing Santa Claus, prepaid on it. And it was designed so it could be put through letterboxes. And that's one with reindeer. I think this was a trial only for 1 year. Now, 1998, Royal Mail decided they had to prepare for the big international exhibition in 2000. Because if you remember, any time you went to a Royal Mail stand, 1996, 97, they were absolutely packed. The girls behind the counter were tearing out stamps with strange requests, blocks of this, blocks of that, and all the rest of it. And the queuing was ridiculous. And it was decided they would bring out a trial. Although, again, I was in the stamp advisory, I knew nothing about this. And they did out a special trial for the 1998 Bird Packs exhibition. And this was held at Wembley. Now, I was at Wembley for the whole week. I think they more or less lasted a week. But I was involved in judging, and I was busy, and I didn't get to the Royal Mail stand, which was really separated off from the other stands. It was almost like a room in itself. And you'll understand why. Packs. Now, these packs are now called format packs. And here's one. And the packs consisted of, it was a special sealed pack. In it, it had cylinder blocks, and later on with various other things. It had a barcode in the back, and these, excuse me, were named format packs, and they were named format packs by the company Packs and Cards. And Packs and Cards they were very much dealers in all the new modern ideas and all the new things that were coming out and modern stamps. This sort of was right up their street. And presentation packs. And trials were carried out at bird pecks to see just what would happen. So this was one of the first. As I say, I didn't know about it, but I happened to go on the Saturday. Crawford and I went, and I'd never looked at any of the stands. I went to the Royal Mail, into this sort of room, and you went in, and there was basket things that you could have, and you could pick up your stamps, put it in a basket, and then go to a checkout. And they had everything with barcodes in the back. And this is just one. And I went absolutely mad there. Here we are. And this is one of the sets. And this cylinder, and you can see the barcode, the endangered species. And here we have, that's the whole set. And you could get it in cylinder blocks. And at the time, I hadn't bought my current stamps because I always used to buy cylinder blocks. And I hadn't had time to get to the post office. And when I saw them pre-packed, I just grabbed them and basically ran. Now, the other thing, there we are. They also did postcards, packs of 6 postcards. And here you have the 6 postcards with the barcode. The next issue, here we have lighthouses. And again, one of the issues sold with the barcodes. I really went to town in this because I think these stamps are absolutely beautiful. There's so much information on them and there's so much detail, and there's just about something about them I've always liked. So I've sort of really gone to town to let you see the cylinder here, the cylinder packs. Now, the next one was the comedians, and this shows you a preview and the leaflet that went out and just the various comedians. And here we are, Eric Morecambe, Joyce Grenville, we have Les Dawson, and we have Peter Cook, and we start with Tommy Cooper. Now, apart from, that's a first day cover. Again, first day covers, you could buy them, and they were barcoded. There's the barcode in the back of the first day cover. They also did quarter sheets. Now, I only saw the comedians in quarter sheets, which I bought a set of them because I was so amazed at them. And the only other thing I saw was the high values. Now, remember, I went on the last day, the Saturday, the last day of the exhibition. So whether they had other values and other sets, I don't know. But this shows you Eric Morecambe and the quarter sheet. In all probability, dealers maybe bought them and broke them up, but I thought it was it really is a quarter sheet format pack. And here's the whole of the 5 stamps. Now, when we get to this, suddenly discovered, where are we? Was it this one? Oh, this is it. This actually has got, this is really the cylinder block of all the quarter sheets. Now, had any of the other cylinder blocks been available, I would have bought them. So I think this must have been the last cylinder block that was available when I got to this, I got the Royal Mail's stand. And they have a nice signature in the bottom of each stamp. Well, this is just something entirely different. And here we have other bits, gutter paper you could get, strips with 3 with gutter pairs and postcards. And these were all barcoded on the back. Now the next issue, here we get, and this is the next issue. We keep going on. We are Magical Worlds. Again, this is all special packs. And again, we get on to the pairs, the back of the pack, and you can get the barcodes. And as I say, this was all done, specially done, the different types, gutter pairs, everything as trial for 2000. And they were going to see just how they sold, how many they sold, not realizing they were actually producing completely new product for the collector. That's my receipt, which I'll go over quickly. There we are. Now, we'll get on to Stamp Show 2000. Now, this was the stamp show the trial was meant for. And once we get into this, the packs have changed slightly. Instead of the pack at the back being completely blank, they now have Royal Mail Millennium stamps and details of the celebration. And the other thing I found was very interesting, they had a Millennium album. Now, I don't know if any of you knew, saw, or have the Millennium album. Because if you think what the Millennium album would do, if you had a Millennium album, you would buy the stamps and packs, you would open up the packs, Then you would put the stamps and thing, thereby completely destroying what I consider the most important bit, the actual packs themselves, which was quite fascinating. Now this, I think, is definitely my most favourite stamp for a long time. This is the box from the health set for the Millennium stamps. And with a microbiological background, the way that was described, the way it's portrayed, it says everything about inoculation. And I think whoever designed it, I'm not sure, I keep meaning to try and look it up and find out who designed it. I think it's absolutely brilliant how they managed to do that. And that was The Patient's Tale, 2000. Other things we get in packs, we get the Geoffrey Matthews set. And here we have some more of the rest. We have the miniature sheet. And these are all packaged up, including the Coronation Pound stamp. This is all specially done, 2000. And then we have the SPET. And we have the Millennium Timekeeping one, but I think this was by David Gentleman. And here we see the design is based on the Earth rotating. And you can see how the red line shows the Greenwich Mean Time and how it goes through Greenwich. And in all these, it shows where Greenwich would be and the time in the country that is shown. Shows you North America, shows you the Middle East. It's just covered everything with the red line showing Greenwich and where it would be in the map. Again, we have the pack. We have the pack, special Millennium pack of the stamps. And we have it overprinted. And we also have booklets. Here we have the booklets. Again, all packaged, ready just to be lifted into a basket and taken to the checkout. And this one, I think, says it all. When you get a miniature sheet with a barcode on it. When I started this and started looking at Supermarket Philately, I never for a minute thought that you get stamps or a stamp pane with a barcode on it. And this to me is where Royal Mail has reached the stage of becoming a supermarket. So it could pick up items, put them in the basket and go to a checkout. Now this I found quite interesting, but it just so happens this week I was clearing out a cupboard with a whole lot of things in it, and I found the following, which says a lot about this. This photograph I suddenly found I had kept at the time it was taken, when it appeared in the Telegraph in 2016, and all of a sudden this week it appeared, so I managed to get it into the display. I thought you'd be quite, I think that's a lovely picture, and I think that explains all the problems you can have trying to take a photograph. The other one is the King's 75th birthday, and you've got that again with the barcode. And I thought it was nice to finish with the David Gentleman, the barcodes on the David Gentleman miniature sheet. I think Royal Mail is now a supermarket. There we are. This is coming to the end. There we are. I have included it with the other supermarkets. And this is part 4. And this really, supermarket is now closed. And that is the end of the display. Thank you very much for looking.
Thank you very much, Jean. That was superb as usual.
Thank
I
you.
don't think anyone thinking about this would realise the depth of philatelic knowledge that you actually have applied to this. to collect the stuff so seriously. It would be easy to sort of fiddle around with it and pick up bits, but you've done a real philatelic study on this, and I think it's brilliant. So does anyone have any questions?
Sharing somehow.
Yes, I do. Jean, on
Where
the
can I stop sharing? Hold on. Can I stop sharing?
If you just go down to the bottom of the screen, the little green thing
I've
on
lost
share,
it.
you should if
Oh.
you put the mouse over the share, you should get an option to stop sharing.
Do we see? Oh, yes, I think. No. I would like to stop sharing.
I might be able to do it for you.
I would love
Hold
you
on a
to.
moment. Let me see if I can do it from this end. I might or might not. I'm not sure. Yeah, there you go.
Lovely. Thank you.
Sorry,
It's
Grace, you
nice
had a
to be
question.
back.
Well, Jean, when you were showing the bird life trials, the bird exhibition trials, and there were gutter pairs with 6 stamps in the packet, and I noticed at the bottom the prices seemed to be £43, £63. I couldn't understand that. Why were they so priced like that?
Probably the price, I'm not sure what you're looking at, but it would be the price of the pack or the
Yeah,
price
on
of
the
the
bottom, on the
stamps.
pack at the
And it
bottom.
might be the whole set in the pack.
But you only showed 6 stamps.
Yeah, but there might be stamps behind it. It depends.
Okay, so it might be that they have different ones on the front.
I'm not sure what. I will go and look at this afterwards and see what was there. But
but
at the
that's
time,
plausible.
whatever was there, that was the cost for various reasons.
Yeah, so that's plausible that they had different ones on the front then.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Any more questions or comments from anybody?
I think just a comment from me. I've really enjoyed all 4 parts, Jean, of your talks, and I think it passed me by completely. All of this, I didn't know a lot of this existed until you opened up the Pandora's box, really. So I'm really grateful to you. I think it's been absolutely splendid. Thank you.
I do agree. I think all of us, we all collect stamps. How many of us did it dawn on to go and investigate this? I suspect only you. It takes a real philatelist to do a study like this.
The way you think about it all the time. And with Crawford here as well, you see, if you see something different, I've got an extra pair of eyes looking out for me. And you're sort of brought up to it, and it just becomes automatic.
But I think there's a very well-trained philatelic husband to give you a card with a receipt unopened. I think that's good. That's good training. You've got him.
Oh, that was really, and for Vicky to follow it with I mean, it was really absolutely brilliant. And considering he was there when I went and bought all the format packs, and I kept buying and buying, and he didn't discourage me. He was inclined to go and pick up some more.
That was very honest of you to show that receipt at Birdpex. That was an impressive sale that day. They must be glad you turned up.
And we did register when Wendy says Crawford is well trained, that he took a day off work to go around with you searching for things.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you realise, but that was one of the first things that my mother-in-law heard about me, was that I was a stamp collector, because he was a stamp collector when I met him, although we did the same subject to university, and he knew more about stamps. I just did my father's collection. So he was the real philatelist when we met. So he really has taught me all I know.
I mean, I'm assuming that a fair chunk of this stuff is quite rare now,
Yes.
or in very limited quantities. Is that right?
The thing I think that are probably rarest, I think, are the Boots label on the Christmas cards or the Christmas vouchers from Woolworths. And I think all that is really, I haven't seen any others. And I don't think anyone else was mad enough not to take out the £10 voucher and use the card for a Christmas card to someone.
Yeah.
Okay, well, any more questions or comments from anybody? Okay, well, thank you again, Jean, not just for this, but the whole series. All 4 of them have been absolutely fascinating. And I know they've engendered interest because I get emails from people saying, I'm going to have to miss X one. When's it going on the website? I want to catch up with it, which I think says everything about people's interest. So thank you very much. And just before we close, if I could just run through a few things that are coming up for the BTA. The next event that we'll have will be the BTA meeting at Europhilex at Birmingham. That will be on the Friday, the 9th of May. And for those of you who are coming, please do bring along 4 sheets, 1 minute, so we can have a very quick members meeting first, where we can meet each other, and that will be followed by a talk, a postcard display after that. So that's 9th of May. 14th of June will be our AGM at Swimpex, as it always is, and I know I'll see some of you there. And then the next Zoom talk will be the 27th of May. George Henshelwood will be talking about William Tell and the Swiss Tell stamps. So thank you very much, and thank you for coming this evening. Hope to see you soon.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.
Nice, thank you, Jean.
Thank you very much.